We thank you for tuning in. This is Pastor Jarvis James TBOC Church. As is our tradition for 1 John chapter 5, verse 4, for whoever is born of God overcomes the world, and this is the victory that overcomes the world, our faith. I want to look at Daniel chapter number 6. Daniel chapter number 6 for our lesson today. We're on prayer. We're looking at our prayer series. And in Daniel chapter number 6, I want everybody to understand that prayer is very important, that everybody need to have a strong prayer life. That's the lesson, that's the title, that's the subject of our talk this today with this sermon, is to have a strong prayer life. Not just have a prayer life and you just pray when problems happen. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with praying when problems happen, but we need to pray when problems not happening. Pray and praise goes together. Praise God for the good times and allow him to guide me through all times. But as we look at Daniel chapter number 6, we're looking at a segment of Daniel's life in our Bible, Daniel chapter number 6. Verse number 1, it said, "It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 satraps to over the whole kingdom, and over these 3 governors, of whom Daniel was one, that the satraps might give account to them, that the king would suffer no loss." Daniel was in place so that the king can get paid. Daniel was in place that nobody would rob the kingdom. Daniel was in place. He was a prime minister. He was like a senator, a governor over a particular region. And there was 3 that was over all the satraps, and Daniel was one of them. But the king, this King Darius, decided that because of the excellent spirit that was in Daniel, that he would set Daniel over everybody. That's where the problem came in it. Because soon as you are about to be elevated, here comes the haters. Soon as you're about to get the promotion, here comes problems with other people. Because these same people that Daniel had coffee with and had lunch with, now these people are going to have to be under his authority, because Darius, King Darius, now is considering putting Daniel over everything. Looking back at the history of Daniel, Daniel had a distinguished lifestyle. He had a disciplined lifestyle. He prayed 3 times a day. But Daniel in Daniel chapter 1 was considered, Daniel, as well as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, was considered eunuchs. Whether they was born that way or whether they made themselves that way or whether men made them that way, Daniel and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego was considered eunuchs. A eunuch is somebody that does not have a man that does not have male equipment. And so here it is, Daniel in Daniel chapter 1, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and Daniel was considered among the eunuchs. And so you don't see where Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego nor Daniel have any children, nor have any wives, or even messing around with any types of women. And so Daniel studied the scriptures. Daniel had a gift and he had a skill. His gift was to interpret dreams. And that interpretation of dreams was a skill that was able to bring him from the bottom to the top. Daniel comes to this kingdom as a slave. In fact, Daniel served under 3 rulers. One ruler was Nebuchadnezzar, the next ruler was Belshazzar, and then one ruler was Darius. And of course, Nebuchadnezzar was king over Babylon and Belshazzar. And then here it is, Darius is the Medo-Persian emperor. And so now at this point Daniel, it was a young man under Nebuchadnezzar. And now he's about 80 years old when we come to Daniel chapter 6. And in Daniel chapter number 6 is where his life is about to change, because now the most horrific event in his life is about to happen, and he has to trust in the Lord. So as a strong prayer life, you don't have a strong prayer life just because of, but you have a strong prayer life in spite of. In spite of things that's going on, in spite of the health problems, in spite of the financial situation, you still have a strong prayer life. And a strong prayer life is really dedicated by you praying without ceasing. According to 1 Thessalonians 5:17, pray without ceasing. I pray for other people. I have a habit of having a prayer list, and I pray for other people. That's a strong prayer life. I'm praying for myself, and that's good because you matter. But also you have to pray for other people. You're not in this world by yourself. You have to pray for other people. And Daniel, he distinguished himself under all these three kings. In fact, in chapter number 1, Daniel like, man, I'm not going to eat the king delicacies. I'm going to eat just vegetables and drink and come after 10 days and see how we look. See how Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and myself look after we have this disciplined lifestyle. He distinguished himself because he interpreted dreams for Nebuchadnezzar, for dreams for Belshazzar, and for Darius. So all of this, Daniel distinguished himself. And here it is, Daniel was being considered by Darius to actually be over the whole kingdom. But one of some of his friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, in chapter 3 of Daniel, was confronted with bowing down to a gold god. And this is the famous story where Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego thrown in the fiery furnace. A fourth image is in the fiery furnace because though you might get in the fire, God will get in the fire with you, and he'll keep the fire from actually harming you. The Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, friends of Daniel, say, we ain't bowing down to no gold god, Nebuchadnezzar. We ain't bowing down to no gold image. Because the God we serve is a God that we have a strong prayer life in, and we believe in him and we trust in him. And the gold God can't deliver me. The gold God can't heal me. The gold God can't give me freedom. The gold God can't forgive me of sin. So I can't pray to a gold God. And so Nebuchadnezzar, here it is, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego say, even if my God don't deliver me, we still not going to bow down. And that's just like if you see at the end of this life that there is no heaven, which there is. But if there was no heaven at the end of this life, I still would live a life according to the Bible because it's the best life to live. And you got to come to that point in your strong prayer life. See, a strong prayer life brings a strong conviction and a strong commitment like that. That though I'm not going to bow down to your gold God, and even if my God is not going to deliver me, I'm still not going to give up on him. Chapter 4, Nebuchadnezzar got beside himself. And chapter 7, Nebuchadnezzar started saying that he built everything and he did. He was filled with pride. And the Bible says while the words were still in his mouth, God turned him into an animal. And a couple of days punishment turned into 7 years. And Nebuchadnezzar was like eating grass. He grew feathers and he grew claws. Then in chapter 5, Daniel, just looking at his history, Daniel interprets Belshazzar's dream, saying that you've been weighed in the balance and found wanting. And right after the interpretation of his dream, Belshazzar fell dead. Crawl right now into chapter 6, we see that Daniel's prayer life didn't change. Daniel was being promoted because of his faithful service to God. God is the one that really brings about the promotion. And whom God promotes, can't nobody demote. But who God demote, can't nobody promote. So here it is. God is always paying attention to your faithful service. Daniel had faithful servants, but God sees everything that you do, and he keeps a perfect record. And one day he will reward you accordingly. Just like Revelation chapter 22 and verse 12 say, and behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me to give every man according to his work it shall be done. So God is the one that is in control of your promotion, and my promotion is based off my faithful service to the Lord. So my reputation, all of my commitments and my character, all of that is being watched by the Lord, and he's the one that can actually bring you into a better place, into a place of promotion. But as Daniel was brought into this place of promotion in Daniel chapter 6, here come the other satraps wanting to bring Daniel down. They got together. They say, man, we can't get Daniel because we're not going to find anything wrong. The Bible say those governors and satraps sought to find some charge against Daniel in verse number 4 of Daniel 6. And the Bible said they couldn't find one charge. But because he was faithful, they say, we're going to have to find a charge against Daniel in his spiritual life. And so they knew that Daniel, see, other people know when you're a praying person. You can get around somebody that you know is not a praying person, and you can just tell by the way they talk, by the way they act, behave, by how they treat other people, that they do not have a strong prayer life. But even your enemies can know if you got a strong prayer life. Verse number 5 say, we shall not find any charge against Daniel unless we find it concerning the law of his God. So those governors and satraps got together, got to the king, say, King Darius. They try to suit king. They try to boast King Darius up, say, King Darius, you live forever. And here it is that if you establish a royal statute, that shall be made, and that decree can't be changed. He say, for 30 days, why don't you make a law that everybody got to pray to you? Darius like, yeah, everybody needs to pray to me. And he say, but if nobody's praying to you, then let them be cast into the lion's den. Here it comes. So watch this. This is an old saying that says that if you dig one ditch, you might as well dig two, because the ditch you dig for me just may as well be for you. You got to be careful how you trying to set up a child of God. And all these satraps, all these governors that was hating on Daniel, they was setting a trap for Daniel. But God has a way of letting them set that same trap for themselves. So here it is, Daniel. One of the points is that Daniel had a prayer life that was disciplined. Your prayer life determines your discipline, because prayer in the morning, prayer in the afternoon, prayer in the evening, prayer at nighttime, your whole life becomes a life of prayer. First Corinthians chapter 15, verse 58. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be steadfast and immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, knowing that your labor in praying, your steadfast, unmovable, always abounding, knowing that prayer life is not in vain in the Lord. That we got to learn how to be disciplined in our prayers. That means we just got to start talking to God more. When you wake up in the morning, start talking to God. Throughout the day, remind yourself, put it on your phone, talk to God. At night, before you go to sleep and you close your eyes, talk to God. You got to have a disciplined prayer life, and the devil smells somebody that has a disciplined, strong prayer life. And the same thing that got Daniel in the lion's den is going to be the same thing that's going to pull you through the lion's den. Romans chapter 8 and verse number 37 says, yet in all these things, we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. We're more than conquerors. That means that if I got a strong prayer life, man, I don't have to be a great warrior. I ain't got to fight all my fights. I fight my fights on my knees, bended knees in prayer. I bring God into it. And when I bring God into it, he brings me through it. That's how I get delivered. Watch this with Daniel. The Bible says that here it is, Daniel chapter 6. Daniel knew that the writing had been signed. All these governors, all these satraps got together, got Darius to sign this decree, and Daniel knew it. But Daniel wasn't tripping off that. He wasn't worrying about that. I ain't worrying about what man does. I want to concern myself with what God wants me to do. That's when you live in a life on purpose. And you can't live a life on purpose if you don't have a strong prayer life. Thank God for people that pray. And so here it is in verse number 10 of Daniel chapter 6. The Bible say Daniel knew that the writing was signed. He went to his home, and in his upper room, his windows was open towards Jerusalem. He knelt down on his knees 3 times a day, and he prayed, gave thanks to God, as was his custom from his early days. So we learned something about Daniel right here, that Daniel was a praying person, even from his teenage. I prayed as a teenager, prayed all the way through my 20s, prayed all the way through my 30s. Praying all through my 40s. Gonna pray all through my... You got to pray all the time. The Bible say it was Daniel's custom to pray. And he wasn't scared about no decree that can't nobody pray to no other God but the king. Daniel like, Darius, I like you, Darius. I respect you, Darius. You the king. But I'm not gonna be set tripping on God by praying to somebody that can't heal me, can't deliver me, can't forgive me, can't wake me up in the morning, can't let me. You understand what I mean? So Daniel went, and as was his custom, he opened his windows towards Jerusalem and prayed. That ain't no Muslim thing. That ain't no Jewish thing. That's a God believer thing. that I'm going to pray towards the place where God's presence was represented. Though we don't have to pray towards Jerusalem, we as believers, we pray towards heaven. We close our eyes, we bow our heads, and we pray towards heaven. And Daniel was thrown into the lion's den. He was threatened they found out that he was praying. They went and told the King Darius. Darius like, I can't help you, Daniel. I signed the decree. I can't change the law. So now you got to go to the lion's den. Daniel like, okay. Daniel down in the lion's den. Can't you see Daniel in the lion's den? Daniel being in the lion's den, God knows how to shut the mouth. This is where the miracle happens. Because I was praying before the lion's den, my prayer life is what got me in the lion's den. So one point that I want to let everybody know is that if you want to go into a lion's den, whether it's metaphoric, whether it's literal, you start your strong prayer life and watch you end up in some lion's dens. The lion's den might be dark. The lion den might be scary. But the same thing that got me in the lion's den is going to be the same thing that's going to get me through the lion den, because the God that brought me to it is God enough to bring me through it. And so here it is all night long. The Bible lets us know that God shut the mouths of the lions. And this lion's den, this was a hungry bunch of lions. Lions will tear you limb for limb. And if you got a hungry lion, you can throw a horse in there. You can throw a zebra in there. You can throw a goat or a chicken. Those lions going to tear that thing limb for limb. And you ain't going to see nothing else when you got some lions. And here it is. Daniel was thrown in a lion's den. This was like modern day. This was like torture. They was torturing Daniel by putting Daniel in the lion's den. But can you see Daniel in there? Because God shut the mouths. He started making friends with the lions. Because God even make your enemies come and rest with you when you got a strong prayer life. Daniel prayed before, Daniel prayed in it, Daniel prayed after it. And so while he's in there, he's naming these lions. Your name gonna be Mufasa, your name gonna be Simba, your name gonna be Scar, your name gonna be Leo. He started all because God is a God that knows how to take care of his kids in the midst of the lion's den. It's before, it's in, and it's after. It don't matter what the segment of life you're in. God knows how to take care of you. He who keeps Israel neither sleeps nor slumber. So watch Daniel. So if God is going to wait, if God's going to stand up all night and he's going to take, I might as well go to sleep. Don't you know Daniel slept in the lion's den, and the lions never touched Daniel, never licked on Daniel, never put a bite mark on Daniel, because God is the one that's watching. So you can go to sleep at night and not even worry about what's going on, because God is the one that's taking care of you. My brothers and sisters, you got to understand that God is a God that knows how to take care of you, but it's all going back to the foundation of a strong prayer life. So here it is. Darius came and say, man, look, Daniel, are you still there? Daniel like, yeah, Darius, I'm still here. And soon as you understand this particular happening, those governors and satraps that threw Daniel in the lion's den, now they say, get those men and put them in the lion's den. And soon as they was being thrown in, the Bible say those lions was eating them limb for limb, because the trap you set for me just might be for you. We got to, as we have a strong prayer life, we also got to believe God's promises. If God promised that he'll never leave me nor forsake me, I gotta live my life like that. I gotta pray. My strong prayer life have to be founded on the fact that God will never leave me, nor will he ever forsake me. He promised that he'll never leave us or forsake us in Hebrews 13:5. He promised his grace is sufficient for us in 2 Corinthians 12:9. He promised to guide us in every step. As Daniel didn't say this, but David said this, that the steps of a good man is ordered by the Lord, and he'll delight in his only way. He promised to meet my every need. In Matthew chapter 6:25, he promised to hear and to help us when we call on his name. So as I'm going through in my strong prayer life, I got to believe the promises of my God. And his promises is perfect, and they shall come to pass. If God said it's going to come to pass, he has the ability to bring it to pass. So we don't have to worry when we're faced with the lion's dens, when we're faced with people that want to set traps for us, when we're faced with impossible situations. God is a God that can turn it around. So the point is that you got to have a disciplined prayer life. You have to be distinguished with your prayer life, that you praying in the morning, you praying in the afternoon, you praying in the evening, you're praying all night long, as well as you got to know that what got you in the lion's den can be the same thing that delivers you from the lion's den. Because we got to understand Romans chapter 8 and verse 28 said all things work together for the good to love the Lord. So as I'm praying, I understand that my good is good, my bad is good. Everything is working together for the good of them that love the Lord. Hopefully I said something to you that you distinguish yourself with a strong prayer life. You discipline your day with a strong prayer life. And the thing that delivers you through the lion's den in all days is a strong prayer life. If you want prayer, go to tbocommunity.org and leave us a message. We want to pray with you and for you. If you want to give, won't you go to tbocommunity.org, hit on the give tab, and you can give. Not grudgingly of necessity, for God loves a cheerful giver. God bless you for sticking with us from this lesson on Daniel. Daniel serves as an example. Daniel wasn't like the Mercedes-Benz or Maserati in the Bible. His prayers was not like Moses. His prayers was not like Abraham. His prayers was not like any of the greats of the David. His prayer was some simple praying, and his simple praying brought him to the lion's den, and his simple praying brought him through the lion's den. So hopefully you can develop a strong prayer life like Daniel. God bless you, and we'll talk to you next time.